Welcome to Bay Area TV Bowling. This is the third event of many. We're here at the Hillman Family Cloverleaf Bowl in beautiful Fremont, California, with this exciting event. Today we have some of the top male bowlers here in the Bay Area. Number 3 qualifier is Pete Scrempos of Milpitas, California, against Brian Entantino, the number 2 qualifier from San Jose, California. These guys will be competing for the honor of being our top qualifier, which is Allen Blansette of Vallejo. To our coverage in just a moment. All right, here's the first match. Our number 3 qualifier, Pete Scrempos, will be leading off on lane number 3. Pete is 35 years old. He's been bowling for 25 years. He's got a high game of 300. He's got many of them, I'm sure. High series at 814, and he currently carries about a 224 average. Pete's first shot on lane number 3 starts out with a beautiful strike. Lots of power.
He couldn't have walked down and placed it any better.
Oh, no. Coming up on lane number 4 is our number 2 qualifier, Brian Entantino from San Jose, California. He's 24 years old. Been bowling for 16 years. He's got a high game of 300. He's got 9 of them. He's got 4 800-plus series with a high of 837. And currently his last league's average was 223. We got some top players here today.
You can see that Brian's been bowling. Brian's younger than Pete's been bowling.
That is true.
Quite a stark contrast.
Brian starts off with a beautiful strike.
You think all that experience favors Pete Scrempos?
You have to think so. Pete is a PBA member. He's won a couple. He's won a couple of regionals. I don't know if he's won how many he's won, but I'm sure he's won one. He's been out there for a long time. And Brian is just coming up. He's been bowling adult tournaments for about 3 or 4 years. He's a good up-and-coming player from the left side.
I remember Brian from the junior tournaments. He was a staple there.
Brian's second shot got a nice mixer there on lane number 3. Started off with a solid double. Now, Pete Scrempos is coming up. For his 12 games today, he averaged 229.4. And he went 5-1 in match play. So he had a great match play record. In fact, he beat me. Yeah, unfortunately, he shot 268 at me and kind of kept me off the show. That's okay.
Well, the mark of a good bowler is their match play record.
I agree. Match play's where it's at when the top bowlers bowl. You get that 30 pins added bonus out of your score. You can really add up in a hurry.
Of course, any bowler that beats you must be good.
I don't know about that. Pete's a terrific bowler. He's been bowling for a lot of years. He's definitely one of the top bowlers here in the Bay Area. He's been doing that for at least 20 years.
Hard and straight at the spin.
Yeah, Pete covers a 6-pin really nicely on lane 4 in the second frame. He's going to be up on lane 3. He's down by 10 pins early in this match to Brian Entantino. Terrific shot there. He got some really good reach on that one. All right, Brian Entantino is coming up in the 3rd frame, working on a double. He's up by 10 pins.
We're seeing 2 of the more accurate bowlers in the field today.
Well, we had 10 guys make the finals today. It took about a 210 average. Actually, I believe it was 102 over for 6 games. So that's about 215, 217 average. And we had 3 lefties make it in the finals, and 2 of them made the show. So, and they bowled really well all day.
The oil did hold up a little bit longer on the left side.
A little bit longer. Oh, man. A bad break for Brian as he ripped the rack and just 5-pin just stared at him. That'll drop Brian's lead down to 9 pins if he converts a spare.
And since he does maintain the lead, he can afford to laugh as well. Brian shot 300 to make it today.
Yeah, he had the only 300 game of the tournament. That was done late in match play. That was done in the 5th game of match play to put himself in the number 2 position for going to the position round. And he shot 235 in position round and didn't quite make it up to the number 1 position. So he settled for the number 2 position behind Allen Blansette.
I talked to Brian earlier on in the tournament, and he had a little bit of trouble carrying the 7 and the 10. And his adjustment strategy was simply to be more aggressive, and you can see his ball really is attacking the pins.
Yeah, Brian was having a little problems early in the tournament. I'm not sure if he's going to make the cut, and then he went 255, 279 the last 2 games of qualifying, and jumped all the way up to 5th. So he definitely made a good run. Didn't start off match play real good, but he finished strong with games at 257, 235, 300, and then 235 again. Definitely made up all the ground.
I think the difference is he really made his bowl a lot heavier than it was when he walked in the building.
And Brian with a spare here on the 4th frame. Will keep a lead of 8 pins over Pete Scrempos.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no, the ball hooks up on him a little bit. And that'll leave him with 77 pins through the 4th frame. Pete Scrempos is coming up in the 4th frame, strike up, leading by 3. It's always fun to take the lead while sitting on the bench.
Well, we see with Pete and a lot of other good scratch bowlers, we see them switch to plastic balls in their spares, and Brian simply didn't do that, and it's affecting him right now.
Yeah, I bowled next to Brian a couple of games today in match play, and I did see him ball hooking up on the 7th pin. He missed a couple of them. I was kind of surprised he didn't change to something a little harder. Pete showing his experience by just taking advantage of the open frame.
There's nothing worse than opening and then having the guy you're bowling against get up and throw 2 strikes. That's just
So Pete Scrempos is now up by 13 pins, working on a double coming up in the 5th frame. If he strikes here, he'll increase his lead to 23 pins. Beautiful. He was really happy with that shot. You see it in his reaction after it struck. He gives Pete a 3-bagger through 5 frames and a 23-pin lead.
I thought Pete was losing steam towards the end of match play, but the break has really done him well.
Definitely has. He finished off, he had a 180 there in game 5 of match play and started coming back to the field. Then he finished strong with a 248 just to make the show.
The good bowlers get up for the pressure situations.
Brian in the 5th frame here on lane number 4. Gets the ball in a little bit. Oh, gets a nice little love tap there on the 6th pin. Always use those nice little breaks. Never hurts. Brian's coming up on the 6th frame with 1 strike up. Strikes here, it'll make the match back to 13 pins. Brian looks like he's throwing a control, was that one type of chaos bowling ball, complete chaos. Made by Columbia. Oh, Brian with a bigger break. Going over to the Brooklyn side. I think that would loosen up his arm swing just a little bit after that open frame.
Well, it can't make it any tighter, that's for sure.
All right, Pete Scrempos is coming up in 6th frame, working on a 3-bagger. He's currently got a 13-pin lead. Can increase it to 23 with another strike.
Well, Pete is just relentless today.
Oh, that ball set up really nice. Gives Pete 4 strikes in a row and a 23-pin lead going into the 7th frame on lane number 3.
How do you think these high scores are going to affect our tournament leader?
Well, sitting on the bench, watching guys shooting, throwing a lot of strikes, you got to know coming in that you're going to have to throw a lot of strikes, and it can be a little disconcerting. You hope you can go on TV and the guy will shoot 180 at you. It's always everyone's hope. But when the guys are shooting 240, 250, 260 like they did the last couple of games of match play today, You know you have to go out there and throw your best game.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to give it to you. You're going to have to earn it.
If Allen continues on this pace, I'd have to say that he's the favorite in the next match.
Oh, yeah. Pete, with now 5 strikes in a row, increases his lead to 33 pins as Brian Entantino comes up on lane number 4 for the 7th frame.
All Brian can do is keep striking and hope that Pete gives him a big break.
Gave a little bit more room on that one than the shot before, and it definitely showed.
Brian's playing deeper than he has been most of the day.
I agree. Yeah, he was playing a little bit straighter, but the last couple games of match play, he did move in. I bowled him in the 3rd round of match play, and he was a little bit straighter then. He shot 257, so he got him started on his little roll here. I know he won't admit it, but all right, Brian back in the match. He's down by 23 here in the 8th frame. Strike will make it 13 pins again. Oh, that's the best shot I think he's thrown this match. Now he's back down by 13 pins as Pete Scrempos comes up on lane number 4 here in the 8th frame.
Pete's taking a little extra time this shot.
Just showing his experience. He's been in plenty of step ladders in his 25 years of bowling. Uh-oh. Looks like it popped up a little bit there at the foul line and got it inside his target. The ball just didn't set up.
He lost balance. Got off his hand wrong. You could tell he didn't like it as soon as he let it go.
That spares this open frame possibility on the split. He leaves a 4, 6, 7. It's not impossible. It's a little unlikely. I'd say it's probably, what, about 10,000 to 1? If that.
Well, for a bowler like Pete, I'd give him a 5 to 1.
5 to 1. That's pretty generous. Well, Pete covers 2. He's got 185 through the 8th. Actually puts him down a couple pins. I believe he's down by 2 pins right now to Brian Entantino. Took the lead while sitting on the bench. Pete has a possibility of 245, and Brian has a possibility of 257. Still here.
Big scores.
Pete's coming up in the 9th frame, the foundation frame. So get a strike to put the pressure on Brian.
Good shot.
Oh, no. Ball turns over a little early on him.
The kiss of death. When you call it a good shot, always goes high.
That's definitely not what he was looking for in that shot. Peter will get out his plastic ball and throw it hard and straight and hope he can bounce one out of the back.
I think the shot before him, before this one, affected the shot that he made on lane 3.
Now that gives Pete an open here in the 9th frame. So he's got 193 through 9 frames. Brian Entantino is coming up with a big lead while sitting on the bench, trying to close out this first match. He wants to win this match and go on to meet Allen Blansette in our final match for the Cloverleaf Bowl title.
Oh, Brian really wanted that one.
Brian really wanted that. That just about cleans up this match.
I'm really shocked. I thought Pete had this match the whole time. He gave it away.
Brian needs a marker in the 10th frame. Actually needs a 9 count on the first ball to shut him out. If he gets a 9 count on the first ball and open, he'd shoot 224. And best Pete can do is 223.
It's quite a turn of events.
Brian pretty much needs to stay behind the foul line, get himself a mark, and he's on to the finals.
I think Brian can do that.
What do you think? You think that open frame kind of woke him up a little bit?
Yes, definitely. And I think he's very thankful for the breaks that he's received from his opponent. Excellent
And
shot.
that is definitely a winning shot. Brian Infantino is going to advance to the finals to meet Allen Blansette.
It's going to be an all lefties final.
All lefties final, yes. Watch Brian finish up here in the 11th frame, working on a 6th bagger. The possible score of 257. Hit that ball just a little bit early, looks like, got inside his target, and let's left the soft 7. He's going to clean that up, and he'll finish with 246.
Brian's disappointed with that result, but he knows it was already over, so he can shake it off.
Pete Scrempos is just finishing up here on lane 4. He hit the 6-pin, so he can finish out with a possible 213. And Brian's going to get a 246 with a spare and move on to our final.
Boy, you got to feel for Pete. He bowled well all day. He bowled well the first 7 frames. Looked like he had this match in the bag.
Yes,
Couple
he did.
splits.
Get one bad break in this game, and it's over. You really can't have no place to make it up.
That's just how good the field is today.
There's a lot of quality out there. A lot of good players made the top 10.
Including yourself.
I got lucky. I finished in 4th today. All right, Pete finishes up with a 210. And we'll be right back with our final match between Brian Infantino and our number 1 qualifier, Allen Blansette.
Hi, my name is Lee Sears, here at Bowler's Paradise in San Jose, California, and today we're going to talk about taking care of your equipment and the surface of your bowling balls. One thing about it is when you throw a ball and you've got maybe 100 games on it, they start to get pretty tracked out and they start looking pretty dingy and beat up. This also doesn't just look bad, it makes for inconsistent ball reaction. What you would like to do is bring it into your local pro shop, preferably here, and you want to get it resurfaced. And what happens when you resurface it is it takes off a little bit of the outer shell, so it gives you a nice clean surface for the ball to roll on again. Another thing that happens with the equipment is the newer technology, the cover stocks of the bowling balls, they soak up oil. And when it soaks up oil, it gets in the pores and it gets saturated. Therefore, when it gets down to the back end of the lane, it doesn't grab the lane like it was when it was new. Another process we do for ball care is called rejuvenation. That's a process to where we put it into a little incubator type machine and it heats it up and we wipe it off probably about every 4 or 5 minutes to get the oil out. Sometimes the process takes about 4 or 5 hours to do. But it makes for a great ball, makes the ball react a ton better after it's done. And now I'm going to take you back and we're going to go into the shop here and we're going to have you take a look at some of the processes we do to get the balls resurfaced and rejuvenated and back to almost like new condition. Okay, this here is our Haas resurfacing machine. It's got diamond wheels on it, so it evenly cuts the cover stock down all the way around. Just put this on here, lay it down like that. Put water on it, don't make too much noise. That there takes about half hour, 45 minutes, depending on how bad the ball is tracked out. It's making kind of bad noise right now, so we'll take it off because we got this tape going. But you can see how everything moves around, it's pretty even, and it cuts the ball down evenly. Sometimes you can get a ball out of round if somebody's not doing it right and they try and do it with a spinner. After it gets cut down like that, we take it off. We come over here and depending on what type of ball it is, we can use sandpaper to smooth the shell back out to get it back up to the shiny condition where it is. Or some of the newer cover stocks, they have a new type material that they use on it, mostly Brunswick balls, etc. Then we get to the ball and we get it up and we sand it up and we shine it, or whatever the customer wants. Some people like it dull, some people like it shiny. You can have a difference on what type of ball reaction you want just by changing the surface of the ball. And after it comes in, he comes through here, the rejuvenation process I was talking about a little earlier. Here's one in here right now. We'll pull this out. As you can see, it's pretty shiny because there's a little bit of oil on there. And now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a little bit of it off and just let you see how much oil is really on this ball. You wipe the oil off here, and you can tell this thing's pretty soaked up. You're going to edit this, right? Yeah. You really can't see it on there, but there's some yellow stuff on here. That's the oil being taken off of the ball. What the chemical does, it breaks the oil down and takes it right off for you, so you don't have to sit there. If you try to do this at home, you really wouldn't be getting it off too well. So then what we do is we put it back in here. Like I said, it takes about a couple hour process to go through here. You never want to get the balls too hot because they can separate and crack. So doing it in an oven at home is really not a great idea. This thing right here never really gets over 100 and something degrees. Ovens, people put them up to 350 and they'll break the ball, and they come in here and they have to replace it. Well, that's basically it today. It showed a little bit on resurfacing, a little bit on rejuvenation. It's a good idea to take good care of your equipment, keep them clean, make sure you get them resurfaced when you can. When the track gets really bad, get the oil taken out of about every 100, 150 games. Out on tour, most things out on tour with the tour national tour stops and the PBA bowlers, they usually get rid of a ball after about 80 to 90 games because they don't want to really take care of it. So they get rid of it and they just grab a new one. But now, living in today's economy, you got to take care of your equipment, get everything resurfaced, rejuvenated, and it'll last a lot longer for you. So from Bowler's Paradise in San Jose, this is Lee Sears saying thank you for your time and good luck bowling.
Hi, I'm Tony Reyes from Reyes & Kreitzer's One Stop Bowling Shop here at Oak Ridge Lanes in San Jose, California. And just doing a little ball demonstration on talking about the surface. Just trying to help you out. I'm sure you guys see out there when you get a new bowling ball, it's either really polished or some bowling balls you see are like come out dull, like the 600 or 400 finish on them, sandpaper finish. So here just to kind of explain a little things like when you need to maybe have a little surface or when you want to clean the balls up or when you need to get a little polish on them. So I'll go ahead and start off with the first ball right here. This ball is Pantera right here, as you can probably see. It'll come factory finish right around 400, and you'll pretty much not need to worry about it getting down the lane. It's gonna get a really big hook the way it is right out of the box, and it'll give you a really strong reaction. Having dull texture on the ball will allow your ball to get into a roll really quickly and lay off a little bit more in the back ends. It'll grab the lane, so if you're seeing your ball skid down the lane and it's making it turn too late, or you're leaving maybe some 7 pins or some 10 pins, that's a possibility from your ball skidding down the lane too much. What I would recommend, maybe getting a little bit of surface on it, or cleaning up the balls a little bit, or maybe putting like around 600 surface on it. Not quite as much as the Pantera here, but a 600 wet sand will really kind of get the ball on the right surface, will get your ball on a roll, and will allow the ball to break consistently through the break point, hit the 7 pins and 10 pins, the pins that you're leaving a little bit. So the ball right here, we have a 600 finish. Pretty much what I recommend on most balls, where they really won't hook a lot and they won't die out. 600 factory finish is pretty good. 600 wet sand really gets the ball cleaned up and it gets it in a nice dull texture. There's another type of finish. If you're really having a struggle and your ball's really skidding down the lane and you already have some, maybe a 600 or 400 finish already, you could even go with a 220 finish. And this one, you really see the lines. The lines really get in, really are visible within the bowling ball. And what they do really, it'll get your ball really into a strong roll. I wouldn't really recommend this too much, just because when it gets in. By the time it hits the pocket, the ball's already burned up all the energy on the cover stock, the way the surface is, and it doesn't have any hitting power. So I would recommend something around a 600 or 400 finish, really depending on the person. Opposite from the dull texture finish is a shiny texture. To get this desired thing, let's say your ball, you've been bowling with it for a while, you're wondering when you want to get it, polished up or whatever. Maybe also you're leaving, as like I said, maybe your ball's coming in too high or it's dying out too much. So what you want to do is put a little bit of shine on it. There's a couple different shines. Your pro shop operator pretty much has a standard shine, but they also come in different kind of degrees. There's lower degrees, like, you know, I believe 320. There's like 400, 600 degree finish for polishing. There's even like 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. The higher the polish is, the more shinier and the more tackier the ball will get. So what I have here are like two different types. One's like a Storm Extra Shine. That's basically like your basic shine on the ball. You get the ball basically like this. Get it really shiny, pretty decently shine. But if you're looking at something a little bit extra, a little bit more juice, so this is a new product right here, Gym Dex here. This ball, it's a little bit extra shine. It'll get the ball a little bit more length and a little bit more pop in the back end. I would recommend go ahead and take a peek at your bowling balls, and if you see a track start developing, right in the middle of all the shine, if you see a track start developing, I would say go ahead and bring it into your local pro shop and have them polish it up for you. What this will do, it'll get the ball nice and clean down the lane. It won't pick up. It won't be inconsistent at times because the track is very visible when you have a track, and you have your ball polished. The track is very visible, and it's a lot more inconsistency. So when you have all polish all around it, one consistent flow, your ball will be able to read a lot more consistent. You get a lot more strikes consistently as well. So that's pretty much about it. A little bit on the sanding part, on the texture. There's different types of patterns on sandpaper. You could go, you can sand the ball with the grain on the top with your track, with your ball track. You can sand it ball with it, which is really side to side from your grip, or you can sand it on top and bottom from your grip, or you can sand it top and back. The other one is top and bottom, which is my favorite because what it does, it goes against the grain, kind of like the Vortex 2 here. You sand the ball up here, and you sand the ball down again at the bottom, and what's really doing, it's going against your ball track right here, and it's even more friction that you're getting allowed. So you're getting a lot more friction when you're on top and bottom. Pretty much I recommend that. You're sanding a ball because you get as much as you can. You start with 600, then you need more, you go 400. So that's pretty much about it. Hopefully you have some good luck and get some good strikes, and see you later on next month. Take care.
Welcome back here to the Cloverleaf Classic here at Hillman's Family Cloverleaf Bowl. We're here for the championship match in the men's division between our number 1 qualifier, Allen Blansette. He'll be taking on our number 2 qualifier, Brian Entantino, who advanced to the finals, beating Pete Scrempos, our number 3 qualifier, 246 to 208.
Exciting match.
Very exciting match. Pete Scrempos had the game pretty much well in hand until 2 splits late, and Brian pretty much just finished him off from there.
Brian's just got to be happy to be here because he did miss a spare in that match against Scrempos.
A little blunt there, just a 7-pin, and Pete came back to him a little bit, and he made it to the finals. Okay, our number 1 qualifier, Allen Blansette, coming up on lane number 3 for the first frame. He's leading off. Allen is 23 years old. He's been bowling for 16 years. He's had 23 sanctioned 300 games. For a guy that young, that's an impressive total.
You gotta wonder where he's been bowling.
He's also had 800 series with a high of 832. He's got a current average of 217. Now coming up on lane 4 for his first frame is Brian Entantino.
Scrempos looks good early. Blansette.
Yeah, we've got an all-lefty final here today. Left side just didn't quite break down as quickly as the right side did it, so the lefties took advantage of it. Allen's playing a little bit bigger hook than Brian is, but they're both playing a little bit more hook around the 3rd arrow.
Excellent shot.
They're 2 of the younger players in the Bay Area. Both have been adult bowlers for only about 3 or 4 years. Both coming out of strong junior programs. Now they're coming out and just trying to see what they can do on the adult side. They're doing quite well. They're making plenty of money, making lots of cuts. They're showing it now by being the number 1 and number 2 qualifiers in a big tournament like this.
Bowling well in the junior programs really adds to the confidence of these bowlers when they come out onto the adult scene.
It does help. Good junior program is a good basis to any bowler's score, any bowler's ability. Definitely learn a lot about the fundamentals and really get you started in the right direction. So Brian came a little bit high there on lane 3 and left himself a 6-pin. Should be an easy spare for him. They keep himself even in the match. Looks like Brian has changed balls since the last game. He was throwing a kind of pale greenish colored ball. Now he's throwing a dark black colored ball, maybe purple. And he covers the spare. Brian's got 20 through the first frame, working on his spare in the second frame. And Allen's coming up on lane number 4 for his second frame with a strike working. Allen was a titleist at the Junior State Scratch Tournament back in 1993.
It's a very prestigious title.
Very prestigious title. He also made it to the 4th round of the mini eliminator this year in Las Vegas, which is quite a good,
impressive,
very impressive accomplishment. Ooh, trying to overpower the lanes a little bit there. Came up with the same thing. Brian left the 6-pin. Should be an easy spare for him.
And he thought he had that one.
He was running that one out. He thought he threw a good shot and just came up a little bit tight. This spare will have an even match.
When you see the bowlers run out of a shot like that, you know they made the best shot that they thought they could make.
Allen really took off here in match play. He averaged 226.5 through qualifying in the first 6 days, but he really took off in match play. In all 6 of his matches, he did 180 bonus points. But he also averaged 250.8 for match play. But his low game was 234 in match play, so he also had a 279 there. So his overall average for the 12 games today was impressive, 238.7. It's tough to beat someone that bowls that well.
He's pretty much taken the lead since the second game of match play on.
That's true. Nobody could really catch him. But when you win all 6 matches, it kind of makes it a little bit easier to take off. Oh, what a bad break that was. Looked like he destroyed the rack, and 9-pin just stood there staring at him.
It's a case of too much power.
Too much power. Definitely a bad break. Easy spare, though, for Allen. He'll give Brian a 1-pin lead going into his 3rd frame, come up on lane 4.
A lot of times we see the lefties with an advantage in match play because their shot is more consistent.
Well, in the normal, oh. That's a little unfortunate there for Allen as he hooks by the 9-pin.
It's a big break for Brian.
Big break for Brian. Keeps Allen with 48 even through 3 frames. Brian's coming up here in the 3rd frame while sitting on the bench, took a 12-pin lead.
If Brian can strike here, he really sends a message to Allen.
The 2 bowlers that are a little bit inexperienced when it comes to match play things because they are such young players. I don't know if either of them has ever made a televised show or even a Stepladder Final, so yeah, I think the nerves are definitely going for both of them. Oh, Brian comes up. Here's a nice little high shot. A little bit of a lucky break, but I'm sure he's going to take it. Brian maintains his 12-pin lead. He's coming up in the 4th frame. And Brian had the only 300 game of today's event. Shot that in the 5th game of match play, or game 11 for the day. He really wowed the crowd with that one. His parents are here to see it and everything, so they were really happy to see it.
It also paid out well for Brian.
Oh yeah, he got the side pot win, got the high tournament game. Moved him from like 4th or 5th in the tournament all the way up to 2nd at the time. So a definite boost. With his 30-pin bonus made the score of 330. You make up a lot of ground shooting scores like that. Well, Brian left himself a 7-pin. Remember from the last game, he did hook by one, which gave Pete Scrempos a big lead, but he was able to capitalize on it.
Looks like he's going to use the same ball that he missed the spare with earlier.
Yeah, you're right.
Still not using the hard plastic.
Because versus the spare, he'll maintain his 12-pin lead through 4 frames.
See if he can pick it up this time. Oh.
Same thing. Ball hooked right by the 7-pin once again.
And the match is going back and
Just
forth.
got real tight. We have an even match right now. Brian's got 68 through 4 frames, where Allen has 48 through 3.
And you can tell that as soon as Allen saw that ball go by the 7-pin, his confidence shot up.
He just jumped up on the approach. He says, I want to take
That's right.
He wants to put a strike on this thing in a hurry.
A little extra on it. Oh.
little extra adrenaline there. Looks like he overthrew it just a little bit.
That's a case of being too anxious.
Left himself in also difficult 1, 3, 4, 6, 7 conversion. There are two ways to spare this. One way is to try to fit the ball in between the 1 and the 4, or you can try to throw the ball like a Brooklyn strike and have the head pin take out the 4 and the 7.
I think he's going to go Brooklyn.
Oh,
excellent
terrific
cover.
conversion. Terrific conversion. That keeps the match even.
It's funny how these bowlers sometimes they can have the hardest time when the single pin spare, but you put up a split and they'll pick it up. Or a washout.
I think most bowlers have a little more concentration when they have more than one pin up there.
Exactly.
Single pin spare, just a little nonchalant. Don't they really take your time, which most bowlers should, but tougher spare like that, you just pretty much just take a run at it and think a little bit harder, and worked out really well for Allen on that shot. Shot here in the 5th frame, came up a little bit thin again. Leaves himself just an easy 3-pin.
Looks like Allen's missing his break point on each of the shots. Each shot's
a little bit.
hit a different part of the lane.
Yes, that ball got out further on the lane than the last ball did. And it didn't quite make it all the way back. For the conversion here, Allen will have it, he's down by 1 pin. 67 through the 4th, spare up in the 5th. Good conversion. All right, Brian Entantino is coming up on lane number 4. Currently leading by 1 pin, working on an open frame. He got a nice break there. Allen couldn't capitalize on that.
Taking his time.
He went back to the ball he was throwing the first match, it looks like. See if that works out for him.
Oh, good break.
Well, looked like it jumped up a little bit more than he was expecting. Had the 4-6-10 sitting there for a second and broke it up and just left himself at 6-10. Should be an easy spare for him. Since he was working on open, he didn't lose any pins to count, so for the spare, he'll maintain his 1-pin lead through 5 frames.
Both these bowlers look very tentative.
You can see the nervousness. You can just feel it. But no matter who wins or who loses here, this experience is really going to help them both.
Exactly. It's definitely going
They're two
to
young
boost their
guys
confidence for the next time.
They're both on their way up in the sport of bowling in the local area. This is really going to help them with their confidence. All right, through 5 frames, Brian Entantino's got a 1-pin lead. He's got 68 in the 4th, working on a spare. And Allen Blansette has 67 in the 4th, working on a spare in the 5th. So 6-frame shot for Brian on lane number 3.
Good setup.
Taking a little extra time in this one. Got out a little further on the lane.
Oh, tough break.
That is a bad break. It looked like a really good shot off his hands. Ball went a little high and should have been just a 6-pin, but the 7-pin decided to stick around.
I think that's what happens when you have nerves and you're fishing for a line out there. You get the bad breaks.
Yeah, your swing's just not quite as loose. Loose swing seems to carry stuff a little bit easier than a tight swing. Now Brian's going to have to get a little bit to the right side here of the 6-pin and try to slide it into the 7-pin. See what he can do. And he only gets one of that. So an open frame in the 6th frame, Brian Entantino's got 95. Allen Blansette coming up working on a spare. He's got a 12-pin lead while sitting on the bench.
It's just a matter of who's going to step up here. It's up for grabs. Good shot.
He got real aggressive with that one. Didn't quite go out as far left as the last one did, but he just really got a whole handful of that one and blew the rack. He gets down on the strike up through 6 and continues to hold a 12-pin lead. The strike here in the 7th frame will move that up to 22 pins.
Allen senses the importance of the shot, you can tell.
Yeah, he's taking a little extra time than he normally does. Staring down the lanes. Oh,
power strike.
that's what that extra hook will do for you guys. Give a little bit of help, barely knock out the 5 pin, but got enough of it. Gets himself a double, gives himself a nice 22-pin lead. Now Brian's going to have to try to throw some strikes here to get back in the match. He's coming up here in the 7th frame, 95 through 6. That was the best ball he's thrown this match. He looked really confident. He really needed it. It's a good time for it.
Well, the trend we're seeing here is that once one bowler starts on the string, the other bowler realizes that he doesn't have time to worry about the crowd and the television, and he starts stringing.
Saw that in the women's matches also last week.
Exactly.
Once one woman was getting started, and the other one seemed to just join them along and had some good matches. Brian coming up with the strike working here in the 8th frame. Trying to reduce the lead back to 12 pins.
Great shot.
They're two terrific shots. It's like they're both adjusting to the TV lights.
Exactly.
Gotta be a little nervous out there. Now Allen's coming up for his 8th frame, working on a double. With a 12-pin lead. Can increase it back to 22 pins with another strike. Beautiful shot. That strike through 8 frames. That gives Allen a 23-pin or 22-pin lead. Coming up in that all-important foundation 9th frame. Strike here will give him a 33-pin lead, or 32-pin lead, excuse me.
I think we're seeing here why Allen was the leader. He definitely has more area than Brian, and
Yes,
he's using all of it.
He's using a lot more of the lane. He's hooking the ball a lot more, and he's definitely getting a lot more area. He's got about 4 or 5 boards to hit the break point. And he seems to be throwing the ball a little more confident right now than he did earlier in the match.
And that's all a result of his impressive power.
As he showed up on that shot there with giving himself a 4-bagger and giving him a nice 32-pin lead. Allen's got a possibility of a 237 game where Brian can step up here and he can only strike out for 215. So Brian needs to get some strikes here in the 9th frame and finish off. He's currently down by 32 pins. Strike here can make it back to 22.
He's taking his time like he should. Good setup.
Got a little bit left. Oh, and it came back. Very impressive shot. Well, both bowlers got strings going into the 10th frame, but it still is a 22-pin lead for Allen Blansette.
I don't think Brian expected to strike off of that shot. I think he feels a little bit lucky. Came back with a sheepish grin.
Well, right now, the match is still tight. You know, it's only a 22-pin lead. Brian can finish off with a 215. Right now, Allen's going at a 217 pace, so it's still up in the air. But Brian definitely needs to strike on the first 2 balls in the 10th frame to give him really any type of chance, especially the first ball in case Allen happens to open the 10th frame.
It's an exciting match.
Oh, he likes the result of that one. So does the crowd here at Cloverleaf Bowl.
Brian's family's in attendance.
You see, his mother and father are both here, rooting him on. As they do for most of the tournaments he goes in both. They're very supportive of his game. You can see his dad right over his left shoulder there with the baseball cap. His dad's also a very, very good bowler. He's also left-handed. Bowl against him a lot of times in leagues.
Runs in the family.
He's a good 190, 200 bowler. So it definitely runs in the family. He's got a good teacher. Brian's dad's taught him really well.
And more importantly, an excellent supporter.
Brian really needs this one.
Oh.
Slamming the pocket in disbelief as a 10-pin stands and just stares at him.
That was too good of a shot to leave a 10-pin.
That was a very unlucky break. With a spare, Brian will finish with a score of 204. Allen currently going at a 217 pace. We'll just need a mark in the 10th frame to close out this match. If he happens to get 9 on the first ball and open, I believe he'll shoot 204 also. My adding's right.
Which could happen.
Which could happen. We've seen the left-handers miss a couple 7-pins today anyways, and with this pressure, anything can happen. But any type of mark should be a winner.
It'd be really exciting to see him leave a 7-pin and have to pick it up.
It's definitely a show of how much ability you have. All the pressure to win the title and picking up the hardest pin for the left-hander to shoot.
Oh, and that trip of the 6 makes it academic.
Beautiful trip of the 6. For Allen Blansette, who is your winner of the Cloverleaf Classic. And the first place prize is going to receive a plaque. Compliments of Reyes and Kreitzer's One Stop Bowling Shop, which is one of the sponsors for this week, along with Bowler's Paradise in Santa Clara, and of course the Hillman Family Bowl here at Cloverleaf.
And the bowlers really appreciate those sponsors.
Oh yes, we definitely need the sponsors out there. The only thing that keeps us going. They're very supportive and add money to our prize funds to help get more bowlers to come out and bowl. As Allen is finishing off his final game here, going through his little victory lap. With one more strike here, he'll finish with a score of 237 to Brian's 204.
So an average game for Allen today.
Yeah, he averaged 238 today. He's only shooting 237 here, so he's staying consistent.
Not an average game for the regular house bowler, but for Allen today, it's par for the course.
Yes, and again, just like we saw last week with the women's titles, the #1 seed goes on to the title. He dominated all day, and he showed it in the finals with that beautiful 237 game. And your champion, Allen Blansette of Vallejo, California. Thank you for joining us this week on Bay Area TV Bowling. I want to thank our sponsors one more time, Bowler's Paradise of Santa Clara, Reyes and Kreitzer's One Stop Bowling Shop of San Jose, and the Hillman Family Cloverleaf Bowl here in beautiful Fremont. And we'll see you at our next tournament. Our next tournament's in September at Oak Ridge Lanes in San Jose. You can check out the bowling tournament's website at www.purebowling.com. You should have all the information you need, including the results of this tournament. We hope to see you out there.
Anybody wants to bowl, come and bowl.
All right, thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you next time.